And inflation goes up and growth goes down. That's stagflation. And then deflation is growth down, inflation down. And when you have those two, well, winter is coming. Winter is here, right? And then you clear out all the risk, all the leverage that can be cleared out. Things get bottomed out. That's where Warren Buffett buys in with the hundreds of billions of dollars of cash, and we start the whole cycle all over again. But the reason why it's important here is that the Fed doesn't normally admit this, right? The Fed goes, nothing's wrong, we fixed it. That's how they do it.
And why aren't they doing that now? And don't tell me it's because it's politics, because the Fed is not political.
Not quite. Well, let's hear what Paul has to say as the host here at the Economic Club of Chicago tries to pry some of the news out of him. First, he gives us a little speech at the beginning. Let's just take a look at a quick minute from that.
As we learn more, we will continue to update our assessment. The level of tariff increases announced so far is significantly larger than anticipated, and the same is likely to be true of the economic effects, which will include higher inflation and slower growth. Both survey and market-based measures of near-term inflation expectations have moved up significantly, with survey participants pointing to tariffs.
Okay, so that's Fed speak for slow growth, high inflation, and we're not saying that, reading rainbow style. Don't take our word for it. These other people are saying that that's the case. I don't know why they do that. The Fed has 2,000 PhDs? Why do they always quote other experts? You're the experts. You hired all the experts. All the experts are with you. Quote Jim, who works down the hall. What's going on over here? I never understand that. Experts say, analysts say, sentiment shows. So he's talking about stagflation over there. But let's jump, because in these prepared marks, you always get it's a committee of people who choose every specific word inside of the speech that the high priest provides for the monetary system. But then you want to get to how he actually answers questions off the cuff, because that's where you get a little bit of truth in there, right?
Totally.
Let's talk a little more about tariffs. I mean, you recognize that some of the effects of the tariffs will be one-off, transitory, but you also have said that...
Transitory, just to remember. That's the favorite word right now for the last 10 years. Remember, transitory for inflation in 2021, 2022, 2023. Inflation is going to be transitory, then it turned out it's not. So transitory word now means sort of okay, it's not really transitory. So he's like, well, the tariff price increase is supposed to be transitory, but what if it isn't?
Well, it's as transitory as my girlfriend. It's been 20 years.
20 years. Exactly.
Perhaps they will give room for a number of firms to raise prices. You mentioned dryers. When washing machine prices went up because of tariffs, dryer prices also went up in tandem, even though they weren't tariffed. What's your sense about the effects of tariffs on inflation? What would make them more persistent, and what would make them have effects on growth?
So in a kind of a simple starting point is one tariff comes in that gets passed along in prices and raises inflation, but it's just a one-time thing. So the price level goes up, and that's it. But that can happen in some circumstances. But
and this is what they were saying the tariffs would be like. It's going to be a runtime increase in prices. It's not going to be inflationary. So he's saying that as that's one scenario. Well, let's go to scenario B.
It depends on a number of things which we don't know yet, and I would point to a couple of them, or three of them actually. One is just the size of the effects, and as I mentioned, the tariffs are larger than forecasters had expected, certainly larger than we expected, even in our upside case. We looked at a range of cases, so that's one. The second one is how long does it take for the tariffs to have their effects on inflation? To the extent it takes longer and longer, that raises the risks that the public will begin to experience higher inflation. They'll come to expect it, and companies will come to expect it. So that risks higher inflation.